Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back through daily crypto news and analysis, and today we're going to be talking about Ripple and XRP. So sit back, relax, and before we fully jump on into this video, I do just want to ask guys to please leave a like on this video. It does help the channel grow immensely, and of course I always do greatly appreciate it. I hope everybody is having a great day or a great night wherever you guys are, whatever time it is. Today we're going to be addressing a few things around the topic of a settlement. I do believe that a massive breakthrough just happened within the lawsuit. We're going to be addressing it. We're going to be talking about it. Obviously, the prices throughout the market are looking a little bit rough, but I do, believe that Bitcoin is still around or at its bottoming stage. I've addressed this and talked about it multiple times on this channel and have done multiple breakdowns on exactly where we currently are positioned within this bull run, if you will. I know everybody still thinks that we are in a bear market. In my opinion, I don't think that that is logical to even believe, especially when you look at the macro view on the S&P 500, the Nasdaq, and even the Dow Jones, comparing it to even Bitcoin on the macro view. So ultimately, when we talk about the prices of this market, I do believe that this is a terrible time to sell, especially at the current stage that we are in. Now, today we aren't going to be addressing too much of the price per XRP or anything like that, but we can address the idea on the demand behind XRP once the settlement does happen, because guess what? We've seen a massive breakthrough. But first, I do want to talk to you guys about a few things. So I have been seeing, a question come up about this, new Lightning, cross-border payment system that just came out. It's, basically that new one that got released recently, and everybody was saying, hey, do you think that this is going to kill, XRP? Do you think it's going to kill on-demand liquidity? No, absolutely not. Ashish Burla, which is the GM of RippleNet, actually just kind of compared both of these. He said, seeing some tweets comparing Lightning-based cross-border payment apps to Ripple's on-demand liquidity product with XRP. More players focused on this problem is a good thing for the industry, in my opinion, but let's clear up some misconceptions. And again, he basically said, to kind of really sum it up in terms, it was more so, you can't just say swapping just to cryptocurrency part of the solution is like, suggesting GM just use, an Energizer battery and is ready to compete with, Tesla. There's a lot more to consider here. And that's basically the issue, right? Everyone's trying to compare this Lightning network with on-demand liquidity, but I don't believe that individuals actually understand how crucial on-demand liquidity is compared to any other, sort of product within this area, right? The Lightning Network or Lightning Network apps are not solving something that is, groundbreaking. It's not, something that is an incredible step for this industry. Sure, it may seem like that when you are talking about something like Bitcoin, right? Which the network is absolutely, horrendous to use, especially in terms of, inefficiencies, comparing it to something like, on-demand liquidity, for example. It's night and day, though, right? Especially when we look at things, in the macro view, right? Especially if you look at things in terms of even, this comparison that Ashish is doing, right? The Lightning Network stuff is basically like, bare minimum. That's why he is saying, GM basically using an Energizer battery, is saying like, hey, we're ready to compete with Tesla, which is completely different. That is why on-demand liquidity is such a crucial product, right? It's so different comparing it to anything else that is within this market. And that is why I say, focus on the actual tech behind on-demand liquidity. It isn't just, hey, cheap payments. It's so much more. You are sourcing liquidity on demand, only utilizing it on demand for any sort of cross-border payment. And also, when we talk about the efficiencies behind this, it is extremely massive. So I do love the idea of Ashish breaking this down and really kind of summing it up. Again, these Lightning-based apps are nothing, even close to on-demand liquidity. Also, we did see Ashish Burla talk back in March talking about, on-demand liquidity and the liquidity hub. It's all focused around that key area. Liquidity is the key for the success of, crypto, I would say. Because, without liquidity, this market would have been nothing, right? Even going back as far as like Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin's main focus was, how could we get this to the point where it is liquid? You even see that down here. At the very, very beginning, when there was Bitcoin, the first thing you wanted to do was make Bitcoin liquid. And what that meant was you can interchange it for US dollars, and that is facilitated through something called a crypto exchange. The focus here is still evidently more clear, right? It's the idea that liquidity is the key driver for a lot of success around crypto, but also liquidity is huge for the success of the banking and payment infrastructure of today. And we even see down here, I couldn't be happier with the year that we've had in 2021 with RippleNet. We ended the year at a $10 billion runaway in terms of volume moving through RippleNet as a whole. And we're in 22 destination markets with on-demand liquidity, and that was a core piece of feedback that we heard from customers. They want that product, but they want it more. They want it in more destinations. We're close to having global coverage of on-demand liquidity, which is super exciting. Number one, it's more capital efficient to use on-demand liquidity, and historically it was a problem, but as interest rates increase, as we are potentially going to see in the United States in 2022, the cost of capital is also going to increase, and the savings you get in terms of capital usage with on-demand liquidity is going to be even more substantial. That means that our customers before on-demand liquidity had to pre-fund using expensive capital in the destinations. With the on-demand liquidity, they no longer have to do that. See, this is exactly what I'm trying to compare and contrast on-demand liquidity to any sort of, payments app, right? This is sourcing that liquidity on demand, cutting out pre-funding, utilizing that expensive capital, especially right now when you look at, interest rates, right, and things like that. That is really hurting, these massive financial institutions that are moving, billions to trillions of dollars, a day or even a year, especially with Swift, right? We talk about Swift a lot, $5 trillion a day. Obviously, the massive amount of capital flowing over that is mind-blowing to some individuals, but it truly is the idea that on-demand liquidity is faster, it's cheaper. It's something that is so disruptive to, not only the current payment, structure, but also the future of payments as well, because this is something that is far beyond anything out there. And the best part about this is that it's patented technology. Everyone was comparing this new, Lightning Network app to on-demand liquidity, not understanding the terms behind on-demand liquidity and what on-demand liquidity actually is. And we do see here, then lastly, as we talked about earlier, the price. In terms of sending money across borders continues to go down as crypto liquidity goes up. Again, this is why we talk about how efficient this actually is. It is massive when you look at the disruption that this could cause. And we do see here, over the years, we've been really, really good and experts in provisioning global crypto liquidity around the world. No one has processed more in cross-border payments using crypto liquidity than Ripple. So we've become experts on provisioning a liquidity through third-party market makers. And this is going to continue to grow in demand. I do think that when we even talk about the liquidity hub, right, they're even saying here, you could think of liquidity hub as Google Flights or Kayak, but for crypto liquidity, we're going to integrate across a number of different exchanges, leveraging a lot of the infrastructure that we've already built for on-demand liquidity, and find the best rate for how much liquidity you want to source in terms of the cryptos that we offer. There should be a one integration into our, product to get the best rates across all these different liquidity venues. Essentially, it should be, a pretty turnkey experience for our customers who want to offer the ability to buy and hold crypto on behalf of their customers. This is why I do think that liquidity hub is key and massive for the future of not only Ripple, but also on-demand liquidity. Now, also, let's move on to the settlements. So, as you guys did see today, massive win for Ripple and also XRP. Huge win for Ripple today. This means Ripple will get to see the 63 Hinman emails unless the SEC is able to successfully appeal to Judge Torres, which it has 14 days to do. This is the beginning of the end of the lawsuit in all likelihood. Odds for settlement are high. This is absolutely massive. If you guys missed it, this could honestly be a breakthrough into a settlement. And we do see here, what does this latest ruling mean? I'm no lawyer, just puzzling around. The court ruled that Hinman's speech was not official deliberation, and therefore the communications surrounding the speech can be viewed, save one comment, because they weren't part of any policy deliberation. For now, there are two implications. One, Hinman can't be claimed as guidance by the SEC, so what can? Does this strengthen the fair notice defense? 2. What is the communication surrounding the Hinman speech? What would be damning here? An omission of no clarity, perhaps. It's interesting that Garlinghouse/Larson asked for the communications around the speech for the fair notice defense, as the judge makes clear, and the court notes after searching them, the SEC raised objections. And I think this is pretty important too. The definition of what is a fair notice is getting tightened up for further arguments. It seemed like a shot across the bow for the judge to, say telling, Coase to come in and we'll work with you. It's not guidance. And again, this is that, fair notice defense that they have been really kind of addressing. They're basically saying, hey, if you're a company, you guys can come in and work through these issues. Obviously, Ripple was meeting with the SEC the entire time, so I do think that fair notice is thrown out the window. I think that that is a terrible argument, especially from the SEC's side. But also within this, Hinman speech and Hinman emails, these are going to be a breakthrough. This will, and I've always said this, even going back to my videos from the last couple days, this is going to put a nail in the coffin for the SEC. And I really do think that a settlement is right around the corner. And as more and more, on-demand liquidity services do launch, we will be seeing US-based on-demand liquidity services launch as well once we do see a settlement. I really do believe that when we talk about a massive breakthrough for Ripple and XRP to go on a massive, explosive, sort of path to adoption and also growth, this is the key. Regulatory clarity will open the doors for XRP as a massive token, a settlement token, and also a bridge currency on the RippleNet to really, propel it to new heights, especially even Ripple as a company as well. Ripple is going to continue to grow. We're going to be seeing an IPO. I just said this the other day when I kind of compared it to my November statement, talking about a settlement and how massive it is. Honestly, think about the adoption that's going to happen for this. And last but not least, I do want to just real quickly kind of sum this all up. Talking about, liquidity, the liquidity hub with on-demand liquidity. Don't forget that 3 weeks ago on March 19th, we seen this new report suggesting that RippleNet could be an alternative to the Swift network for the Arab world. Now, when we talk about this, when we've addressed this, I want you guys to understand everything that has been happening within the RippleNet over the past few years, right? We know that they had 300 plus financial institutions working with them. We know that they had lined up massive partnerships with major banks. Even Bank of America and PNC Bank were already on board with Ripple before this lawsuit. And I do believe that those partnerships, similar in the sense, are going to pile up after, regulatory clarity is intact. Now, we do see here alternatives, example, Swift GPI, TransferWise, Remitly, Revolut, and RippleNet. The funny thing about here, is that these three were already kind of on board with RippleNet before a settlement happened. Don't know if these three are still working with them, but RippleNet by itself, is going to be such a major key area to focus on once a settlement does happen, because we will potentially see major disruptions happening still within, on-demand liquidity, but also RippleNet adoption. And we do see our cryptocurrencies on public DLT. One of the first cryptocurrencies designed primarily for payments was Ripple's XRP. And then, of course, they did mention the El Salvador, sort of thing with Bitcoin. Now, we do see down here, again, this is Wrath of Kahneman, had shared his observation on the social media platform with over 30K followers. This development came in after the working group advised Arab central banks to improve their messaging protocols using systems such as Swift GPI and significantly RippleNet. Again, down here, we do see, This came just 2 days after the clearinghouse, a known Ripple partner, collaborated with Wells Fargo, an American multinational financial services company, to challenge the dominance of SWIFT with the new instantaneous payment system. Now, I know that I kind of summed this up and said that, the clearinghouse is not technically a Ripple partner, and a few things were kind of taken out of proportion here, but I do believe that this is still something pretty significant when you look at things. It's talking about real-time payment services. We also talk about a few things within this and how they do get to instantaneous payments, or it's more so centered around settlement. Settlement is the big key here. You can't get instant, settlement without on-demand liquidity services. And I do believe that when we talk about that, instant payments will be achieved and instant settlement will also be achieved through something like Ripple, or I should say Ripple's on-demand liquidity service within RippleNet, which will source XRP as liquidity. And you got to understand the massive demand behind XRP as a token through that process, especially when we know that instantaneous payments and instant settlement is a crucial area, not only with CBDCs, but also even in the future of finance and, the future of the financial infrastructure. So with that being said, to kind of sum this up, I do believe that a settlement is on its way. I do think that this was a major breakthrough. I think that this is a huge win for Ripple, and also even the XRP holders. And when we talk about this, once a settlement does happen, pay attention to the space greatly, especially centered around Ripple with XRP, because we do know that RippleNet plus XRP equals over 60% savings on FX rates, but also understand that we're going to be seeing massive demand from banks and financial institutions alike that are going to want to utilize this technology. I mean, we've been seeing the growth around Ripple with on-demand liquidity, growing evidently more and more day by day since going back over a year ago. Obviously, the demand behind the network, the demand behind their services is growing massively, and I do see a huge future not only for XRP but also for Ripple as well. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on if you guys want more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. As always, up to you all. Have a beautiful day or beautiful night wherever you guys are in this beautiful world. This has been Nick. Peace out, guys.